Hello and welcome to another episode of Moose's Gear Goo Review. I'm Moose, and today we got another knife review, and that is of this one. Now, I believe I did an unboxing of this a while ago. This is, though it looks pretty funky, a Swiss Army knife. Specifically, the Swiss Army Spartan. Man, I swear, I need to start cleaning these after I use them. So yeah, uh, we're gonna talk about this. I don't have a ton of specs, other than the fact blade length is about 2.5 inches, more or less. The overall closed length is the size of the handle, which is about 3.5 inches. And yeah, so the the reason why I got this one, this is called like the eyeball one. I don't know. I just called it the eyeball one. It was on sale on Blade HQ. I think it's still on sale. It's like $20 at the time of this video. And I have other Swiss Army knives, but I got this one specifically because I don't have a Swiss Army knife with a corkscrew, and I just kind of wanted to have one with that feature. But yeah, we'll go into that in a second. But yeah, the eyeball one was on sale as the cheaper one, so I decided to pick it up. And honestly, when I first saw the eyeball pattern, is pretty funky. I don't really understand it. It's just like a bunch of Picasso eyeballs or something. But it kind of grew on me, and it's just something different and unique. And I think that's a huge selling point for any of the kind of Swiss Army knives that have these types of scales. The fact that they can print different images on it, and you can use that to kind of personalize your own carry in a way. I know they have those smaller Swiss Army knives. I don't know the name specifically, but they do different themes, and they're very collectible, and they look sometimes really cool. And so I got this partly to check out the scales and see how they look or if they feel different. And then two, I just got it because, like I said, I needed that corkscrew potentially. That being said, the features on this, it says there's 12 functions. Let's see, we'll just read through them so you can see them here quick. We got a large blade, a small blade, corkscrew, can opener with small screwdriver, also a Phillips screwdriver, I guess. Bottle opener with large screwdriver, wire stripper, reamer, key ring, tweezers, and toothpick. So let's try to go through all these. So there's the large blade. Most of these Swiss Army knives, folding knives, always have a large blade and a small blade. I always considered the large blade more of like a food prep knife, kind of just for like cutting. And then I always consider the smaller blade as like the carving blade, just because you get a little bit more control. And so when I was in the Scouts and I got my first Swiss Army knife, which is this one, still had this since I was 12, back in the 90s. Like, that was like 94 or 3 or 2 or something. Can't even calculate right now, but still looking damn good. But yeah, I'd always use it for carving. So yeah, there's that. Then we have our flathead. So here we go. Over here we got flathead with bottle cap lifter, and then that little thing there is kind of like your wire stripper. And over here we have our can opener. Now, if you don't know what a can opener is, it looks like a bottle opener, but it has a flattened, kind of sharpened wedge there. And that's what you use to actually puncture the tin of the can. Then you have a micro flathead, or as they were calling it, also a Phillips head. And then on the flip side, we got a corkscrew and a what you call it, an awl, which I think I've only ever used an awl like 5 times on an actual pocket knife like this, so I don't know. And then over here you got your tweezers there, and your toothpick there, and then your key ring. So once again, going into this, just to check out the print. The print overall looks pretty cool. It turned out pretty well, but because of the coloring, and I don't know if this is how it is on other printed handle scales. Maybe someone can comment down below. But you can see that the graphic is definitely kind of faded and not fully printed, as well as you can see the edges, kind of the lamination of the scale there. So, I mean, it kind of looks cheap when you actually look on the sides. So I don't know if that's how all the other ones are, but I don't know. It just seems cheap when you actually see the edges. Other than that, the fit and the finish is fine. It's up to par and standard with the rest. Um, but yeah. So now, besides just reviewing this, like this honestly works any like similar to the Tinker. This is the Tinker model. This is the Hiker model, which is basically like the Tinker, but with a saw right there. Um, yeah, and then also I think this is called the Hunter or the Trekker, one of the two. And this is the locking blade one. But once again, so I in my Swiss. Oh, and then I got the Bantam, which I love the Bantam, and the Alox, super cool knife. Um, So honestly, I mean, it's nothing different than my other reviews. The only other things we could do as far as testing the Spartan. Now, I think the Spartan is like one of the most sold models out of um, any of the Swiss Army knives besides those little ones. I remember tons of people always picking up a Spartan. I always see them in stores. Um, but we can test too if the Firefly ferrule rod actually will fit, which it should, and it fits perfect. I believe this is the medium size or the large size. So you could put a ferrule rod in there. Now the only thing is there is no saw, and usually the saw on these um, Swiss Army knives are what are have the sharp spine, so you can actually throw the sparks. That being said, I think Firefly, the company, I think it's Tortoise Gear or something, that make the Firefly, they actually made a ferrule rod that'll actually fit in a corkscrew. So you'll like screw it in and it'll intertwine within this, and it'll hold the ferrule rod as well as potential fire starting material. Um, and that's kind of why I got it. But then what I didn't realize is that there's no real sharp edge for throwing sparks, unless I want to sacrifice one of my blades. So I'm thinking I might actually use like the edge of the awl to try to throw sparks once that comes in. But yeah, they also forgot that there is a little divot there where you can actually put like a push pin or something. I know that it's available on not all these models, but some of the models. Like here, they got a hole, and I've seen people put a push pin right in that little hole there, as an added element to the knife. So, yeah, I mean, so there you have it. I mean, not much I can do with this review since I've reviewed all these, and they're all fairly similar. Other than this one having the saw, it's basically the Tinker with the corkscrew. So now I'll kind of go on my quick corkscrew rant, and that is, why is there a corkscrew on a pocket knife? Now, please comment below if you've actually ever used the corkscrew. Personally, I don't. I don't drink alcoholic beverages. I'm sober. That's just part of my life. And I'm not knocking anyone that chooses to, have a beverage from time to time. And I think maybe in the upper Midwest, or the Midwest in general, a lot of people aren't popping bottles. We're popping, pop tops. Like, people are cracking open cans of beer rather than, or bottle, or like bottle caps rather than, taking out corks. That being said, maybe people comment down below how many times you've actually needed a corkscrew on a pocket knife. I feel like this is maybe more common in Europe, where this actually comes in handy, and hence, it is a Swiss Army knife, so in the Alps, whatever, maybe they're drinking a lot of wine and bubbly, whatever. And so this might come in handy a lot. But, personally, I've never had to use the corkscrew, and that's kind of why I don't like buying a Swiss Army knife with that feature, because, I'll just never use it. I'd much rather have a designated Phillips screwdriver, like on the Tinker or on the Hiker. So, yeah. Leave your comments and thoughts on the corkscrew on a Swiss Army knife. But other than that, it's no different than the rest. Do these really pass the ugly brown glove test? Not really. But they're not designed for that. They're not designed for really heavy-duty tasks. They're not designed for a sure grip. If I wanted something with a better grip, I'd go for this bigger one. But, these are true EDC knives. They're EDC multi-tools, and there's a long history and nostalgia behind them. And now with these graphic ones, they're pretty cool, and it's a way for you to find one that's unique and different. And so in that sense, would I buy another graphic one? Probably. But these other colors are just fine as well. And yeah, that's the Spartan. I mean, plain and simple, most people know it's on a Swiss Army knife, so I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. But personally, if I had to pick between the different models, I'd either go with the Tinker or the Hiker or the Bantam. But I probably would not go for the Spartan, just because I don't need the corkscrew. So, that being said, that's my review of the Spartan. I've used the knives on all these other ones. They are great knives. They hold up decent. They're definitely not designed for penetrating. And yeah, all the other tools work fine. And they're a great, safe, unintimidating knife that you can pretty much bring anywhere that knives are allowed. So there you go, guys. Check it out. This is the Victorinox Swiss Army Spartan with the eyeball graphic. Thanks. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my other videos, and I'll see you outside. Peace!